Now, over to the Caribbean, where we're getting a vision of what might be coming for us. Caribbean nations want reparations now from the British royal family for colonialism. They've set up a few committees over there in a few Caribbean nations, Barbados chief among them, and they're getting together to write letters off to the king to say, we want some money out of you. I'm sure the king is just going to wake up and go, yes, definitely, we're going to send you money, because of course they forget, and let's not forget as well, Lloyd's of London and the Bank of England are also being pursued because of this. God knows why. But what they seem to forget is that in 1834, the Slavery Abolition Act was passed in the UK, which banned slavery across the British Empire. They did that a whole 31 years before the 13th Amendment, which also banned slavery, was passed in the US. So the British were actually a bit ahead of the curve on this one. It's a bit late to be getting on it, but, you know, maybe the king will come through, because some excellent commentary has surfaced from the king's coronation from the one and only Alan Partridge.
Adorned this morning with what looked like royal blue cornrows, a nod, one assumes, to the fine peoples of our Caribbean territories, as well as to the reggae music so adored by the King's father.
I mean, who doesn't love a bit of vintage Alan Partridge, of course, the satirical act from the UK. But honestly, what do these Caribbean nations think they're playing at? As if the king's just going to send them a bit of money and say, bugger off. And if it works, let's say the king actually paid reparations to nations in the Caribbean for colonisation. What about forget about colonisation in Australia, what about all the convicts who were forcibly taken from their lands and sent out to Australia to build the joint? Surely they deserve some reparations as well.
Absolutely. Like I said last week, none of this makes sense. If we're going to start enforcing reparations, America should go to the Japs and say reparations for Pearl Harbor, please. The Jews should go to Germany and be like, you have the hugest bill in the history of bills in terms of reparations. It simply doesn't work, because history is made up of the most ginormous grievances, like literally unthinkable atrocities. Where does it end? If we have to now, everyone who didn't do anything wrong, paying back the people to whom it was not done to, it is utter nonsense. I'm sure the king will absolutely ignore this.
Well, this is happening worldwide now. I mean, in California, they're talking about paying every African-American person $1 million each to compensate for structural racism. It's happening in the UK. We've got similar arguments happening here. It's a problem right around the Western world now.
Indeed, but I mean, do we go back to the Vikings? I mean, God, we could all at some point go back and find somewhere that someone's been wronged. I mean, I'm sure someone in my family got dudded by someone else at some point. I deserve some money for it. You know, it'd be nice to pay my rent with or whatever. Wouldn't we all like more money?